Hello and welcome back to the Single Today podcast. My name is Ryan Wekenman and this is episode 18. It's called From Double-Minded to Single-Minded. One of the greatest things you can learn to do when you are single is to figure out how to be single-minded. Much more on that in a second. First, it is Valentine's week. If you were listening to this when it first came out, happy Valentine's week. I know it can be a difficult week for us single people. And so I like to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to do 2 episodes this week, and I want to do a book giveaway. I've got 2 copies of my book, Single Today, which, by the way, is the book this entire project is based off of. And I'm going to send them to 2 people. And so if you want to be in the raffle, all you have to do is go to ryanweckman.com and click connect, and then join the mailing list. And I'm going to pick 2 people who join the mailing list this week, and I will email you if you win and get a good mailing address for you and get a copy of the book over to you. Also, it's $11 on Amazon and would mean the world if you would support it. And so if you're looking for a good resource to help you laugh at Valentine's Day, I'm telling you, this book is going to help you laugh this week. Would love for you to read it. Would love for you to hear, or would love to hear your thoughts about it. Now, we are in the middle of a little mini series called What to Do When You're Frustrated with God's Timeline. And go back and listen to the last episode. I laid out 3 questions to be asking yourself when you're frustrated with God's timeline, which, by the way, is so many of the single people that I talk to for a number of reasons. Like, you want to be married, you thought you'd be married by now, or you wanted to have kids and you thought you'd have kids by now, and you're still frustrated with God's timeline. What do you do? Well, one, I know that's a really frustrating time and thing to go through. And so I'm sorry. But 2, 3 helpful questions that I laid out. And the 3 questions are this: is there a step you know you should be taking? Question number 2, is there a lesson you know you should be learning? And question number 3, is there a place where you've stopped trusting God? And so in the last episode, we talked about question number 1, is there a step you know you should be taking? Today, I want to talk about this second question. Is there a lesson you know you should be learning? And I've got all sorts of notes laid out. And so we're going to see where this goes. All right. Is there a lesson you know you should be learning? Because think about the Israelites wandering through the wilderness for 40 years. If you know the story, they're in slavery in Egypt. God sets them free. They're heading towards the promised land, but it takes them 40 years to get there. And by the way, it's a trip that could have taken 11 days, but it took them 40 years. And if that's not a picture of human nature, I don't know what is. It takes us a long time sometimes to learn the lessons that we need to be learning. And so when we're frustrated with God's timeline, the first thing to stop and ask is there a lesson I know I should be learning? Now, before we go into this, not to say that that's a magic formula, and when you just learn the lesson, then God will bring you the person that you're supposed to marry. Because like we do this weird thing with the creator of the universe where we think that God falls for reverse psychology. Like we think we can trick God into thinking we're ready for marriage. Meanwhile, we have like our fingers crossed behind our backs. Like, God, I'm learning the lesson. Send me my person, right? I'm not saying that's how it works, but singleness is an amazing time to learn, and it's an amazing season to draw closer to God if you are willing and humble enough to say, okay, God, I'm ready to learn the lesson that you have for me in this times. Now, 9 times out of 10, here's what that lesson tends to be. It's how to stop being double-minded so that you can start being single-minded. How to stop being double-minded so that you can begin being single-minded. And by the way, single-minded is a phrase that I made up, but it sounds right for a podcast about singleness. So first, double-minded. James chapter 1 and verse 8 from the King James Bible says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Unstable. That's the right word, right? Like, when you're having a conversation with somebody and you can tell they're somewhere else, that's them being double-minded. That's them being unstable. Like they're here with you, but they're also thinking about something else that isn't happening right now. That's the type of person that James would call unstable. Or like when someone doesn't know what they want in a relationship. Well, like I kind of want to be in this relationship, but I kind of don't. And so I kind of want to continue dating this person, but I kind of don't. It's usually more like I know this isn't going to work out, but it's better than being alone. So I'm kind of going to be like here, but kind of not, double-minded. The Bible calls that person unstable. Unstable, to me, it's a picture of someone who's like carrying a whole bunch of stuff. Like they've got like 10 grocery bags that they're trying to carry, and like one little trip or one little push, and you know that they're just going to fall down because they're unstable, and like the dozen of eggs that cost $10 is going to break everywhere. That's unstable. That's what the Bible calls somebody who is double-minded. And then we say things like, "Well, yeah, but I'm frustrated with God's timeline. I'm still single, and I thought I'd be in a relationship right now. So I trust God, and also not really. Like I'm happy today, but also kind of not really. Like I kind of like the life I have, but also not really." We can never like fully be present today with what we have because we can't stop thinking about what we don't have. We're double-minded. Today, I want to give you a really easy way to practice not being double-minded. Are you ready? This is profound wisdom coming your way. I wrote it down and took notes. If you want to stop being double-minded, here you go. Be single-minded. Single people, be single-minded. What I mean by single-minded is focused on today. I mean, grateful for where you are today. I mean, thankful for the people you have in your life today. I mean, locked in on your goals today. But I want to be in a relationship. Got it. Great. It's a godly desire. I want that for you. I'm cheering you on, but you're not right now. So instead of being double-minded and grasping for the thing that you don't have, what if today you practice being single-minded? What if on this Valentine's week, you just practice being grateful for your singleness, being grateful for the season that you are in today? Here's how you do that. 3 simple steps. Learn the lesson, let it go, love well. Learn the lesson, let it go, love well. I preach this one to myself all the time. Learn the lesson, let it go, love well. Quick note on each. First, learn the lesson. What's the lesson? The double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. So when you're single, be single-minded. Singleness brings this really sweet opportunity with it to be present today without having to worry or stress about another person. The problem is, so often we spend our singleness being double-minded. Oh, I'm single, but I just wish I had like a date planned out for this weekend. Or I'm single, but I just wish I had that relationship. That's being double-minded. Instead of focusing on what you have, you're worried about what you don't. Here's the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 7:32 and 33. I would like you to be free from concern. An unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs, how he can please the Lord. But a married man is concerned about the affairs of this world, how he can please his wife. Now, am I saying, or is Paul saying that marriage is wrong? No, of course not. Right from the very beginning of the Bible, it's not good for man to be alone. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one. Marriage is God's idea. I'm a huge proponent of marriage. I officiate weddings all the time. I spend much of my work these days is me like actually trying to convince people to stop being passive and get married already. I'm just saying, according to the Bible, there is a massive gift also that comes with singleness. There's an opportunity to not be concerned with anyone else so that you can direct all your attention to the Lord. I call it being single-minded. So if you're single today, please stop being double-minded. Pray for the things you want and pursue it. Absolutely. I'm cheering you on. And also exhale and realize that today you're single, which means today you have an amazing opportunity right in front of you to focus on your relationship with God and cultivate and enjoy community in your life. Learn the lesson. Move from being double-minded to being single-minded. And then step 2 is simply this: let it go. When the Israelites left Egypt, it doesn't take too long and too much pain for them to start complaining about how they really miss Egypt. Man, I wish we were back in Egypt. Really? You miss Egypt? Like slavery? Making bricks, brick by brick, every single day? That's what you miss? You miss not having any freedom? Really? And it's easy to point fingers at them, but single people, how often do we do the same thing? Man, I just miss fill in the blank. Really? That toxic relationship you're in where you couldn't think for yourself, really? That's what you miss? You miss that person who you could never really be your real self around because at least that was better than being alone? Really? Like, let's just be really, really honest. You don't miss it. You're just not willing to let it go. You got to learn how to be single-minded. That all of that I miss the good old days stuff, it is you being double-minded, which is going to ultimately lead you to being unstable in all your ways. I'm not saying this is an easy thing to do, but when you can learn to let it go, like that relationship from your past is over, let it be over. The one that got away, who's married now, they got away, like let it go. All like the late night, well, if I had just done this, or if I had just said this, or if I had just pursued in this way, I get it. I understand that spiral. Let me just be the one to say this with grace and truth. Like, if the ship has sailed, let it sail away. Let it go. God has new for you, but first you're going to have to let it go, or else you're just going to end up being double-minded. Learn the lesson, let it go, and then finally, love well. This week at Red Rocks Austin, the church that I get to be a pastor at, my brother Doug preached this amazing sermon about intentions and about not just having good intentions, but acting on them. And he dropped this phrase I've been thinking about since. He said, prioritize your priorities, which seems redundant, right? But if you think about it, your priorities are only your priorities if you prioritize them. So, single person, what are you prioritizing today? In this season of singleness, who is in front of you that you can love well, that you can encourage, that you can speak life into? What if you prioritize loving your community well? It's one of the best ways to learn how to be single-minded is to take honest inventory of the people who are in your life today. No, not the people you wish were in your life today, because that's the game we play, right? Well, when so-and-so finally realizes that I'm the one and they should have feelings for me, then I'll learn to love well. Like once I'm in that relationship, then I'll love well. No, what about today? Like, if you aren't loving the people in your life today, why would you think that you're going to be able to magically flip a switch and love well tomorrow? Who are the people in your life today to love well? One of the best ways to be single-minded is to double down on loving that person, those people, really well. So to recap, how do you move from being double-minded to single-minded? Learn the lesson, let it go, and then love well. Again, is it easy? No. Does it work? Oh yeah. The day that I learned to embrace today, to let go of the past and surrender tomorrow, and be present and be single-minded today. Not that I do it perfectly, but that I saw that as a North Star and started pursuing that. It changed everything about my singleness journey. In fact, an early version of the book Single Today was called Single-Minded. And it was a play off of don't be double-minded. Don't be unstable in all your ways. Just be here, be now. Learn how to be single-minded. And so I want to lead you through a very simple prayer. Again, if you can right now, just try to get away and close your eyes for a moment and just get really still and sit with the Lord for a second and just say, Father, thank you for today. I thank you for this season of singleness that I am in. And as you sit in this space, pay attention to the things that start coming up. Like maybe there's some anger towards me, even, like, how dare you talk about like gratitude for being single? I'm not feeling gratitude right now. Just take a note of that. Or maybe it's an insecurity. I really just don't like being alone. Or maybe you are thinking about a one that got away and you're like, I'm not ready to let go of that person. Whatever it is, just take note of it. Those are the things that are keeping you from being single-minded. Those are the things that are keeping you being double-minded. And so whatever that thing is, instead of worrying about it, talk to God about it. Like God says, don't worry about anything. Just pray about everything. And so that is your next talking point. Whatever that thing you are feeling, as I'm taking you through this prayer, spend the next few minutes going, God, I want to talk about, maybe it's a person. I want to talk about so-and-so. I haven't been able to get them out of my mind. Is this the person that you have for me, or do I need to let this go? God, I can't stop thinking about that mistake from the past. And I know Romans 8:1 says there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. And I know that you've forgiven me, but I can't seem to forgive myself. Would you help me in this moment? Let that thing go so I can stop being double-minded and learn to be single-minded. So I'm just going to trust in this moment that this prayer is taking you in the direction you need to head. And before you speed off to another podcast episode or the next thing that you have today, I want to invite you just to sit just for a couple minutes. Doesn't have to be long. Just a couple minutes and talk to God about whatever that thing is that's coming up for you that's keeping you being double-minded. See if you can learn to let that thing go and practice being single-minded today. In Jesus' name, amen.